Hello friends, welcome back to Jnanadeep Academy's UPSC answer writing program. Today I've come with a question from International Relations. This question is again from UPSC Means 2022. Okay. Now this is an interesting question and interesting for two particular reasons. One, that this question has three sub-questions within it. And the second is that this question is to be answered in only 150 words. Now this actually is a challenge. Because when you have three different questions to answer and the word limit given is only 150 words, this actually becomes very challenging. And in such questions, we need to understand very clearly what is the locus and what is the focus of the question. Now, if you look at the question, I'll read the question. Do you think that BIMSTEC is a parallel organization like SARC? What are the similarities and dissimilarities between the two? This is the second question. And how are Indian foreign policy objectives realized by forming this new organization? Now, all these three questions actually are of equal importance, but I would still, say that the focus of this question is the similarities and dissimilarities between BIMSTEC and SARC. And the second focus is Indian foreign policy objective realized by forming this new organization, that is, by forming the BIMSTEC. Now, what is the locus of the question is, do you think BIMSTEC is parallel to SARC? Now, why do I call it locus? Because though it is an important question, though it is a direct question, we are supposed to not write much about this part of the question. Okay, so I say this is the locus, that is BIMSTEC a parallel organization to SARC. Okay, now, the first part that we'll be seeing here is the introduction part of the question. How should you introduce this question? Okay, now first point here is because they've asked, is BIMSTEC parallel organization, how it is helping India in realizing its foreign policy objectives, we need to first emphasize that SARC, due to some reasons, is failing. Okay, so the first point I would suggest is failure of SARC to nurture cooperation. The very reason why it came into existence, it is failing at that objective. Nations in the Bay of Bengal are looking for a new alternative. Okay, because see, there are various reasons for this, but we're not going into the reasons right now. And BIMSTEC is fulfilling these objectives or these needs of the nations, and so it is filling in for SARC. This is how you can start the question. In the body part, what the first part of the question is BIMSTEC as a parallel organization to SARC. The question asks us, do you think it is parallel? Now, it is our opinion that we are supposed to give here. Now, how should your opinion be? It should be based on certain facts and understanding of the functioning of both these organizations. Now, if you look at SARC and BIMSTEC, what we find is that members from both these organizations have come from same geographical region. But BIMSTEC misses out on Pakistan and Afghanistan. See, in BIMSTEC, we don't have these two countries. Okay. Then these organizations have shared interest, that is regional prosperity. Both organizations aim for regional prosperity, but they have different objectives. Now, what does SARC focus on? SARC focuses on peace, progress, and stability in the region, whereas BIMSTEC is more about economic, social, technical, and scientific cooperation. So because the members are different, because the objectives are different, we should be stating that no, BIMSTEC is not a parallel organization to SARC. Okay. Now, the second part of the question you need to focus on is what are the similarities between SARC and BIMSTEC. So the first is both have members from India's neighborhood. Now you can name them precisely. Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and Bangladesh are the members which are part of SARC as well as BIMSTEC. Then both focus on regional economic prosperity, security, and people-to-people connect. This is again important. Both these organizations focus on people-to-people connect. Then both are crucial for India's neighborhood first policy. This need to be mentioned in your answer, India's neighborhood first policy, owing to its central position in terms of geography and economy. Right? India being the center of both these, if you look at the members of both these organizations, geographically India is at the center. So these are the similarities between BIMSTEC and SARC. Now, the third part of the question would be dissimilarities between these organizations. Now, we have already seen a few of them in the introduction, that BIMSTEC lacks a common identity and history like SARC. Now, this is very important. All the countries who share border with India have, some kind of similar historical, similar history and relations go back many years. So that does not happen with BIMSTEC. Now, for example, Thailand and India do not share common history. Okay. Then we have different membership also. We said Pakistan and Afghanistan. These are two different countries. Maldives again, which is a strategic country for India in Indian Ocean region, is not part of the BIMSTEC. Then SARC is mostly focused on regional stability, whereas BIMSTEC is more about economic integration within these countries. Then contentious bilateral relations in SARC. Now, what is happening? See, India and Pakistan. Why is SARC failing? India and Pakistan, lot of issues. We have not had any conference after 2014. Right? There is no SARC conference after 2014. Then we have Pakistan and Afghanistan. Because of the Taliban coming into power in Afghanistan, we have Pakistan and Afghanistan with some contentious relations, right? We have Myanmar and India with some issues. So this is a big issue. Now, this is a dissimilarity. When it comes to BIMSTEC, no countries have this antagonistic relations between them, the bilateral relations. Okay, so this is one dissimilarity you can mention here. Now, the third and important aspect is India's foreign policy objectives that can be realized because of the BIMSTEC. This is a very important part of your question. The first is this works as a platform for regional cooperation, considering the stagnation of SARC. Okay. The second is it helps in better connectivity. BIMSTEC acts as a bridge between South Asia and Southeast Asia. This is again a very important point. Now, you can, for example, mention Kaladan project. You can mention India, Myanmar and Thailand highway. You can also mention VBIN project. So this acts as a platform for increasing the connectivity within these nations. Okay. Then India's goal of net security provider in the Indian Ocean region can be achieved because of BIMSTEC. Then this is a platform to counter China in Bay of Bengal. This is a very, very important point, because all regional relationships that we study, China is an irritant for India. China not being a member of this helps us to, act as a big brother here. So, and counter China politically, economically also. Okay. And the last is gateway to Southeast Asia as key for Act East policy of India. So this Act East policy also replacing the Look East policy. So if you want to bring into effect the Act East policy, BIMSTEC is a very important platform. Okay. So these are the four important foreign policy objectives that can be achieved by being a member of BIMSTEC. Now, the last part of the question is, what should be the conclusion? See, you should not be choosing between the two. Both these organizations are important for India. So obviously, your first point in the conclusion should be that both the platforms are relevant to India's strategic interest. No matter SARC has been stagnant, but it is still important, because if you have to, keep Pakistan in the loop, keep Afghanistan in the loop, then SARC is going to play an important role. Okay. So both these platforms are relevant to India's strategic interest, and both can complement each other. Instead of choosing one of the two, you can say both of these can complement each other if SARC becomes functional. Okay, this is how you conclude your answer. You don't have to be choosy. You don't have to choose one of those two. You need to, in fact, emphasize that SARC needs to be made functional, and both can act complementary to each other. Okay. Now, like I said, this question is a challenge for a reason that the word limit is only 150 words. So though I've mentioned a lot of points here, I think for each of the focus, we can just write 3 points and that would suffice, because looking at the time, looking at the word limit, I can understand this much of points won't be feasible writing in the paper. So you can be choosy. You can give prominence to some important points and skip the rest. Okay, this is all for today. Thank you. Have a nice day.